Sort of the three things or the three themes that really characterize Tesla's year.
Investors have to get their arms around is auto companies aren't just auto companies anymore.
All that more. So let's get to it. Tesla stock is down in the pre-market a little over 4%. Needless to say, it's been a pretty rough couple of days for TSLA. For the week, Tesla stock is negative? What are we talking about, people? Nothing wrong with a healthy pullback after such an epic run-up. I'll be taking this opportunity to purchase more stock, and maybe I might feel a little gambly by purchasing some calls for the end of the year. But first things first, I buy on red days.
From robo-taxis to rehauling the government, it's been an eventful year for Tesla and its CEO, Elon Musk. Joining us now to talk about the three biggest moments for Tesla in 2024, Yahoo Finance senior autos reporter Pras Rahmanian. Not all of them were singular moments in time. It's sort of the three things or the three themes that really characterize Tesla's year. Let's start with number one. What do we got?
Yeah, you know, I thought for me, one of the biggest things for shareholders, people owning the stock for the long term, was the future of the cheap EV, something that Tesla's been talking about for a while now. And initially they were downplaying it, saying that, you know, we're going to actually see less than ideal growth because we're focusing on future vehicles. They didn't say what that was. People were sort of concerned, what is that? And then eventually the stock got hit after a bad Q1 delivery report. Musk said, hey, actually the robo-taxi's coming. He kind of wanted to show, hey, we're doing this, it's happening, we're going to see it in August. Of course, that got delayed for a few months, but that was something that was a dangling carrot out there.
Given the macroeconomic conditions here and abroad, Tesla vehicle demand did wane just a bit. But it must have been kismet, because at the same time, breakthroughs in artificial intelligence were well underway. This allowed for rapid improvement of Tesla's full self-driving software. Ladies and gentlemen, we went from version 12 to version 13 in the matter of a year. It's true, growth is going to be relatively flat for the year of 2024, but this lull in vehicle growth has paved the road for the Tesla Cybercab and these more affordable models using a variation of the unboxed method. With any luck, this will drive down costs so we can address a new segment of buyers, increasing the total addressable market that Tesla has.
A cheap EV is coming, and they kept reiterating that earnings after earnings after earnings. We haven't seen it yet, but the latest indications that we will see it early next year, and it's potentially maybe called the Model Q, according to Deutsche Bank. They had a meeting with Tesla management. So we'll see. That's sort of one of the big drama points this year that was occurring.
On that relatively less expensive EV, Pras, do we have any more sense of price point on that?
Probably sub 30,000 is sort of the goal. And talking about the Cybercab, that robotaxi that they say will come below that as well, they're going to use a lot of the same manufacturing techniques to get that on the road at that price. We'll see. As you know, that's not an easy thing to do.
Okay, so number one, product, right? Robotaxi, cheap EVs, even though the products haven't been announced, they've been talked about. Thing number two, Elon Musk's pay and the drama over it.
Yeah, that continued throughout the whole year, right? Yeah. When the judge in Delaware rejected his pay package, Musk said, "I am not comfortable owning or not comfortable growing Tesla without 25% of the ownership of the company." And he thought that was kind of interesting because he sold so much stock to buy Twitter, but that's another thing. So we had this whole drama with this thing. The board said, hey, we will have a vote, and you can vote on the pay package as well as our changing our state of incorporation. They voted in the affirmative. Musk was happy that overhang was gone, the stock went up. But then, of course, just a few weeks ago, the Delaware judge said, you know what, it doesn't matter. I'm still invalidating the pay package. So we're going to see that play out next year.
Pay that man his money. If Delaware can't do it, I have a sneaking suspicion that Texas will. This needs to be cleared up quick, fast, in a hurry so that the board can propose a new pay plan for Elon Musk. I'm curious, what are the audacious goals that the board has planned for Elon and the company? The provisions inside his new pay proposal will be more than a glimpse into where the company plans to go. Will Elon Musk be able to hit it out the park like he did with the 2018 pay package? But first things first, we need to reward our CEO for the pay plan that incentivized Tesla to become the company that it is today. And in the future, when shareholders vote unanimously for a future pay package for our CEO, that we don't run into these roadblocks like right now. Again, pay that man his money.
Final point, Pras. The final Tesla point, I believe, dovetailed with what we heard from Dan Ives over at Wedbush. But walk us through it.
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's Trump's big bet, that big gamut, Musk embracing Trump. These two guys sort of now are two strange bedfellows. But for Musk, it really paid off in Tesla. After the election win, Tesla stock's up almost 90% since that election win. It's just an astounding number. It's the combination of his closest to the government, but also changes in robotaxi and autonomous driving policy and legal requirements that will help Tesla. And I think that's what we're seeing that in the shares as of the end of the year.
At the beginning of the year, I wouldn't have been able to call this one. I mean, there were signs. You know that Elon Musk was not supporting Joe Biden. But for him to go full throttle into the Republican camp, tossing his hat in the ring with Donald Trump, yeah, that's unprecedented. And I wouldn't have been able to call it. But lo and behold, that bet paid off. And it stands to reason. All of his companies, not just Tesla, stand to benefit from the next 4 years of the incoming administration. So that's 2024 in review. What does 2025 bring?
How are you thinking the EV landscape changes come January 20th?
Let's look at the big picture first. Some people are saying EV growth is slowing down. Nonsense. 1 out of 5 of all cars sold globally in 2024 will be electric or hybrid. So we're living in an EV world and it's just moving faster. That's 25% year over year growth, 17 million EVs sold globally. US, Canada, solid growth, about 12%. China, red hot at 40%. And the big stories, as you talked about, are kind of Tesla versus BYD, who's going to be the global leader. And then there's this other issue of US versus China and how are tariffs going to affect this. And what people have to remember, US has already slapped 100% tariffs on any Chinese car sold in the US, but that's virtually none. You got to ask the question, what happens if the Chinese slap 100% tariffs on US cars or automakers selling cars?
Will that happen?
China?
Do you think that's a high risk even for a Tesla?
Oh, look, whenever there are tariffs slapped on by one country or another, you've got to expect the other country to respond. The big question is it cars that are already made in that country or just cars that come from the US going to China? But the punchline is the same. There's a lot more US automakers selling cars into China than vice versa. So the US needs to be careful on this one.
I suppose there's no better place to start than with the EV side of the house. I mean, that is where Tesla makes the most money at the moment. A lot of uncertainty surrounding the US-China relations. I mean, tariffs are being haphazardly thrown around left and right. But the fact of the matter is, if you want to sell your vehicles here in the United States, you need to be making them here in the United States. That's the purpose of the EV tax credit as it reads now. And to protect US workers, that will be the purpose of the tariffs in the future. Using Mexico or Canada as a foothold to get Chinese EVs over here, that's not gonna fly. And I wouldn't be surprised if China did something of equal measure with various number of products. Should the US increase the strength of tariffs against the Chinese? My understanding is that it will have a less of an impact if you build your vehicles in China. And given Tesla's competitive edge, despite not being a Chinese auto manufacturer, it stands to reason that Tesla, an innovator of a breakthrough technology like FSD, may find itself outside of the blast radius of anything that China would retaliate with. All of this is speculation and has yet to be seen. I guess we'll have to cross those bridges when we get to them.
And yet, we have seen vibes, or whether it be real political clout, driving Tesla's share price up and to the right ever since the results of the election. Has any of this China-US tension been priced in, do you think, Steve?
Well, I think people don't have their arms around it quite yet. So you've got to look at the Tesla share price, 76% growth since January 1 of this year. That's astonishing. The big question is, can Tesla keep it up? And I think it's going to be tough without getting some new products into the market. Tesla's auto growth this year, after roaring sales growth in 2021 and 2022, 51% and 70%. This year, it's darn near flat. So Tesla's got to get this newer, lower cost car into the market. There are new rumors that there's going to be a new sub $30,000 Model Q coming sometime in 2025. But we got to make sure that's real. So investors have to look at it. I think 25 is going to be a make or break year. It could see new heights if you can see a lower cost car coming out and full self-driving improve, but it can also sink if they don't get a new car in the market, sales stay flat. That's going to scare people.
Doesn't scare me in the slightest. These things are on the way.
As an investor, how hard has it been to read the tea leaves? Because we're trying to understand as to whether they're just going to cut costs of current models on the market and get us to some sort of sense of affordability. Because Elon just signals time and time again he's more interested in the robo-taxi side, in the full self-driving side.
It's incredibly hard. I mean, share price going up 75% when sales are flat. I don't think anybody's ever seen anything like that before. What's going on? Kind of a bet on full self-driving, and probably a bigger bet on Musk's relationship with President Trump. What no one's talking about is very quietly the energy division looks like the saving grace for Tesla. 75% year-over-year growth. The other thing investors have to get their arms around is auto companies aren't just auto companies anymore. They're also energy companies too.
Well, the good automotive companies aren't just automotive companies. As for Tesla, it kind of feels like there's 10, 20 startups under the umbrella of Tesla Automotive.
We've got a news story around the potential unionization, let's call it subtly being done over with Rivian. We understand the UAW has reached a kind of secret deal with Rivian to make unionization easier as and when it becomes a profitable company. How much do you think that's a key area, the labor side of things for the EV space?
Well, look, the labor side's huge because labor costs are going up. This is one of the things that's plagued GM and Ford for years. And what's interesting is Musk is great at pulling out all the stops, making things go faster than any other automaker, but he still has to deal with unions. And he may be the wealthiest guy in the world, but that's not going to impact how well he wins union battles. German workers potentially out on strike soon, precisely when he's trying to catch up for Q4 sales. So it's going to be interesting to see, can Tesla's auto sales increase this year? He cannot show year-over-year growth. Gosh, that's going to be a tough one to sell to shareholders. We'll see.
Labor costs are indeed going up. Regardless of whether Tesla is in a union or not, labor costs are going to go up. But will Tesla ever be shackled by the UAW? It's possible, but I'm going to have to say no. As long as the company is growing like it is, Tesla employees aren't creating generational wealth with just their salaries. No. It's through the stock options. Instead of paying union dues, Tesla's employees have utilized the stock options program, making them wealthier than they could possibly imagine because of the success of their very own work. I'd say that's a novel idea that Rivian should probably try to emulate. Should Rivian survive, it stands to reason that the stock would indeed increase. Maybe not to the level of Tesla, but betting on yourself, your work improving the company's success versus the UAW who's going to take money from you and quite frankly limit your company's ability to succeed, it's already going to be tough for Rivian and RJ Scaringe. Adding the UAW into the mix, that's not going to help. In conclusion, 2024 was a rocky start. But as we approach the end of the year, we're up well over 50%, largely in part from Trump winning the presidential election and Elon Musk standing to benefit for the next 4 years of that administration. 2025 kicks off this perceived utopia of that situation, where Tesla plans to unveil a cheaper model using the Model 3 and Y lines and a modification of the unbox process. This is also the year where we might see the fruit of the AI team's labor and see an unsupervised version of FSD. We should see a resurgence of the automotive growth. The energy division should expand quite fruitfully, and who knows what Optimus will be able to do by the end of 2025. Needless to say, the future is looking mighty bright for Tesla and Elon Musk. That's all I've got for you today. Be easy.